Let's start. So I have taken 5 questions which I feel are important from each subject, and as such there are many important questions which we have done in class, but I have picked another 5 also from every subject. So I would want that first you solve, and then I'll be solving, and let us point out the important things in each question. I've taken some theory questions, some practical questions, so you get a practice of both. Okay, so start solving the first question and try to get the answer. Chalo, now see, m square, when I was explaining you the concepts, I told you that m square gives you the same ranking as a Sharpe ratio, just that it is in percentage terms. Okay, now m square formula is what? Sharpe ratio of the portfolio into standard deviation of market plus the risk-free rate. Now tell me yes or no, risk-free rate is going to be the same for all? Standard deviation of market also is going to be the same for all? Portfolio Sharpe ratio is what is going to differ among the investors. So these two are the common factors among all the investors. So m square is only going to change because of the Sharpe ratio of portfolio. Right or wrong? Okay, now I have to find out the portfolio Sharpe ratio. Portfolio Sharpe ratio would be return on portfolio minus risk-free rate upon standard deviation of portfolio. Okay, into standard deviation market plus risk-free rate. Now since I have the formula, I substitute the figures. Okay, return on portfolio is how much? Okay, return on portfolio and all is not required because directly the portfolio Sharpe ratio is given. If portfolio has a Sharpe ratio of 0.85, so I directly take that only. If it is not given, you know now how to do it. So 0.85 is the Sharpe ratio into standard deviation of market returns. Market has a return of 6% and standard deviation of returns of 9%. So into 9 plus the risk-free rate is 3%. Solving for this, how much do you get? 9 into 0.85 plus 3, 10.65. Student would be tempted to mark option A. But in the question, you see how carefully you have to read the question. I have not asked you m square, I have asked you m square alpha. Alpha is over and above the market return. 10.65 is the portfolio return. Market return is how much? Market return is 6%. So 10.65 minus 6 is 4.65. Option C is the answer. Understood? Okay. Now if you ask me that rank all the portfolio managers in terms of either Sharpe ratio or m square, the rankings would be the same as I just discussed with you, because m square formula also has Sharpe ratio in it, and standard deviation of market and risk-free rate is going to be the same for everyone. So what is the differentiating factor? Sharpe ratio of the portfolio. I hope you understood this. Okay, that is the market return 6% which I have subtracted. So alpha is what? The return of your portfolio over and above the market return, right? Okay, fine. Now don't confuse m square alpha with Jensen's alpha. Okay, Jensen's alpha was return on your portfolio over and above the return as prescribed by the CAPM. Okay, proceed. Fine. Exchange traded funds. Yes, what should be the answer according to you? Are priced once a trading day? Are they priced only once a trading day? No. What is priced once a trading day? Open-ended mutual funds. To be more specific, open-ended mutual funds. So A cannot be the answer definitely, because ETFs are shares. They are traded throughout the day, throughout the trading hours at the market price. Okay. So that's why I do not mark A. B, usually pay out dividends to shareholders. Yes, usually pay out dividends to shareholders. What does it mean? Understand that. Now you have invested in Nifty Bees. Nifty Bees, who is managing Nifty Bees in India? Nippon India Mutual Fund. Nippon India would have invested in those 50 shares of Nifty 50. Those 50 shares of Nifty 50, if they pay dividends, that dividend goes to whom? You guys, because you are the ETF shareholders, no? So you will get the dividends. Nippon won't keep the dividends with itself, of course. You are the ones who will be able to enjoy the dividends. Any issue? See, I think I am getting your confusion where it is coming from. You are saying how can B be the answer? Usually pay dividends to shareholders. Means, are you thinking that way that dividends are not compulsory? They are optional. That is why. So I got a confusion. That's what I'm trying to tell you, that REITs and REITs give dividends because rental income is generated. Now you are saying that what if shares don't give dividends? Then what do you get as ETF shareholders? Then nothing. So the discussion is about that case when if the shares give dividends, then what? Then it will be passed on to the ETF shareholders, no? So B should be the correct answer. Usually pay out dividends to shareholders. Now let's discuss why C is wrong. Are generally structured as closed-end funds. Now understand one thing, what are closed-end funds? Closed-end funds means as the fund manager, initially when I issue the shares or units whatever to investors, thereafter I don't issue additional shares or units. Then investors keep trading among themselves in the secondary market. That is what is a closed-ended fund. Now ETFs may, if you want to buy and sell additional shares, you do it in the secondary market, ETF. That's what I had told you. But one thing which is not mentioned in the book, and I had specifically told you that there is a concept of creation unit. Remember, I had explained that to you. Creation unit. If you want to buy at least 50,000 new shares of Nifty Bees, you can approach the fund house, Nippon India. So Nippon India will have to issue additional shares to you. Yes. Then it's not a closed-ended fund, no? Then it becomes what? It is structured as an open-ended fund because additional shares are issued by the fund house. I hope you understand this. Okay, fine. So option B. First two questions clear. Third, an analyst estimates the standard deviation of returns for the market portfolio to be 15% and the standard deviation of returns for a stock to be 25%. If the correlation of returns between the stock and the market portfolio is 0.6, the stock has. Now see the options. They are asking you about systematic risk. Less systematic risk than the market portfolio, same systematic risk as the market portfolio, more systematic risk. So I would love it if you try it first, then I'll discuss. Now, an analyst estimates the question. You understood the question. Now a student who wouldn't be knowing the concepts would think that, oh, standard deviation of stock is 25%, standard deviation of market is 15%, standard deviation also is a measure of risk, and would end up commenting that since standard deviation of stock is more than standard deviation of the market, the stock has more systematic risk. But is systematic risk measured by standard deviation? No, systematic risk is measured by beta. So that should give you a hint that you have to calculate beta. Now I calculate beta. There were two formulas of beta: covariance between stock and market return upon variance of the market, or beta is equal to standard deviation of stock upon standard deviation of market into correlation between stock and market. Which formula is more appropriate? The latter one in this question, because those details are given. Okay. Now this second formula is derived through first formula only. I am not here to discuss the derivation and all that, we had already discussed in class. Right now just the application part and getting the answers. I had told you one simple technique to remember. Now remember it like this in case you have forgotten. When you were a kid, your father used to carry you on his shoulders. You were dependent on your father. Your father was independent. You were on top. Dependent variable always is on top. Independent variable is at bottom. Between market and stock, which is the dependent variable? Stock. Standard deviation of stock, I have kept it on the top. Standard deviation of market is at the bottom into correlation. You will never forget it like this. Okay, fine. So now I have to substitute the numbers. Standard deviation of stock is 25%, so 0.25. Standard deviation of market is 0.15 into correlation is 0.6. Now once you solve for this, beta comes out to be 1. Beta of market is how much? 1. Beta of stock is 1. So option B, the same systematic risk as the market portfolio. Did you understand this? Okay, fine. See now concepts, all these concepts we had done in class, but the way the questions are framed, I hope you understand. Okay, fourth question. Now they are asking you beta of the security and CAPM holds. First of all, what is the formula for CAPM? Return on security is equal to RF plus beta into RM minus RF. Also one confusion that I have seen among students, and this is a common mistake. What is market risk premium? RM minus RF as a whole is market risk premium. So in the question, if market risk premium is given, students end up considering that as the return on market. Return on market is different as compared to market risk premium. Please understand that. RM minus RF, I repeat, market risk premium. RM only, market return. I hope you understand that. Okay. Now what are they saying? The expected return for a security is equal to the market's risk premium. Let me assume some simple numbers. Expected return of a security 10. So it's equal to market risk premium. So it is equal to RM minus RF. And risk free rate is positive. Let me assume a risk free rate of 3%. Now we have to solve for beta. Don't need to actually even solve it. The beta naturally has to be less than 1. So option A. Fine. Okay. Whenever they ask you such questions, and in case if you get confused, write down the formula for once. Try putting some numbers and check. Okay, fine. Proceed. Now this question. Okay, so now understand one thing. They are asking you the stock with the highest non-systematic risk. Do you remember systematic risk? Actually, systematic variance plus non-systematic variance is equal to total variance. Now let's do it for stock A. Total variance for stock A is standard deviation square, so 0.15 square. Systematic variance would be how much? 0.8 square into standard deviation of market returns is 10%, so into 0.1 square, because beta is responsiveness of the stock in response to the market movements. So don't forget to square it. So this X non-systematic, that is what we have to find out. So 0.8 square is 0.64, 0.1 square. So this is 0.0064 plus X is equal to 0.15 square is 0.0 0.0225. So x is 0.0225 minus 0.0064. 0.0161. This is the non-systematic variance for stock A. 0.0161. On similar lines, let's do for stock B and C. For stock B, it would be systematic variance would be 1.5 square and 0.1 square plus x, and standard deviation is how much for stock B? 12%. So 0.12, 0.0225 plus x equal to okay minus 0.0081, and for stock C it would be 0.6 square this, and standard deviation is 17. How much is it going to be for stock C? Calculate and tell me. $0.0253. Option C, highest. Okay, but I'm sure you wouldn't have done it this way. Still you got C as the answer. That was a coincidence because the figures were such. Yes. Systematic risk is what? Systematic risk of the stock. Systematic risk is always in response to the market movements. That is why I had to multiply the standard deviation of market returns. And since it is variance, I had to square it. Clear? Okay. So, very important. No, it is a measure. Beta is a measure of systematic risk. Fine. Okay. Understood this? Any doubt in any of the questions that we did?